Hey friends, so welcome to DBC Live. We are now streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're joining us from either one of those platforms, please do reach over in the comments, tell us hi, tell us who you are, what you do, share a little bit about you. And we would love to just learn about who's here. And we have a very special guest on the show tonight. I'm super excited about bringing her on. I think she has the message for the hour. I think she's just a perfect guest. She also has a book coming in 2021, and we cannot wait for this one to come out. We'll talk a little bit about it. Hi, friends. I see some friends joining in with us. So Traci Browder is our guest tonight. You are in for a treat. If you're here and you're looking for encouragement, you're looking for support where it just feels like everything's kind of falling apart around us and we have no control, then you're in the right place, because Traci, I think, has a message for us tonight that's really just going to inspire and help us to bring this back to those that we serve, whatever capacity that you work in and whatever role that you're in. So Traci Browder, DBC sister, but also a fast friend and just somebody I look up to. I love her work. I love what she does. I love what she represents. So Traci, please do share more about your actual role and exactly what you do and day-to-day looks like, and tell everybody who you are and exactly what you do in case they don't already know you, but they should.
You're so sweet. Well, hey, T. Hi, Tara. Thank you for having me. Okay, first I have to say this. So I was turning off my phone, and so this is off. This is SOS, and I'm trying to keep looking at the screen. Oops, I might get a knock on the door in a minute. I don't know.
Like, she's fine. We got this.
But yes, so I am an educator in Mansfield, Texas, and I teach kindergarten and mentor teachers, and I'm just really, really passionate about changing the world and touching the lives of kids, educators, parents, the whole community, because it's a village, and we impact so many. It's the ripple effect. So I'm going to stop right there.
No, I couldn't say it any better. Traci is just someone I love. She thinks she calls me for encouragement, but the truth is we both hang up that phone and feel uplifted on each end. And you saw she calls me T, or my closest buds call me T. So you can tell right away that we are fast friends around here. So Traci, I know that your book is coming out. I would love to leak just a little bit of information about what it's going to be like before we dive into the content tonight and the message, the powerful message that you have to share. I think they kind of lead into each other. So please do share a little bit about your book that'll be coming out in 2021, just to get people a little hyped up about it.
I am so excited about my book. And if anybody does follow me, you think the book is all about teach happy, but there's been this evolution. And that's exactly part of the book. I gave myself the power to evolve. As I was pouring out my heart, there was this barrier because I felt like a piece of me wasn't coming out that I needed to come out. And I stopped and I asked myself, what's the problem? And I realized I was missing part of what makes me me. And that's really talking about the power we have as educators, as human beings, to impact the lives of other people. We have power through our actions. We have power through our inaction. We have the power to support. We have the power of grace. We have so much power, and we don't talk about power in those terms a lot. And so when I realized that's what was missing, it's been fire. I mean, because there's been so many stories in my life and in my children's lives that have molded who I am as an educator. And it's all about the power that teachers had in their lives and in my life. So that's kind of what the book is all about.
Oh my goodness. It's going to be dynamic. If you've talked to Traci, and I saw someone up here that mentioned that, Stephanie, like, I'm on board with you, Stephanie. She said, I met Traci and she changed me. She changed me. And I think that is the power that we're talking about tonight. But not only does Traci have that, and every time she speaks to me, she lights up a room. She just makes you feel valued and important. But not only does Traci have that, we have that power within us. And I think that's what she's trying to say. The book is about unleashing that power and helping others feel that. And so tonight, I think our world is just kind of in shambles. I mean, honestly. And my heart goes out to all the people that have been affected by this, including our students that are just trying to make sense of what this world that they are living in is like and what's happening and how do we move forward? How do we create change? And so, Traci, I thought your message on power would just be so beautiful to talk about tonight, just to encourage all of the listeners to harness that power. And what maybe you could just lead in with some of the topics of power that you'll be talking about in the book, but also might help us just even tonight and tomorrow as we go forward. And so, Traci, I'm just going to give you the mic and let you just roll with it and encourage us. And as she is encouraging us, please, as you are over in the comments, you are the amen corner. Type some comments in there. And remember, I mean, this is an encouraging message for us tonight, but the show is going to run just like it's always run. Everyone who puts in a comment over in the comment section will be entered to win a free DBC Inc. book of choice. And that's just something we always do on these shows. We're not going to change that practice tonight. And so please do comment, ask questions, share your thoughts about what Traci is sharing, and let's join together as a community and help each other through this night and through these tough times. So, Traci, the mic is yours, my friends.
Wow. We've been through so much as a world. We've been through so much. And how we continue to navigate the storms we're in defines who we will be in the future. Not really for us, but for our children. And so before I even dive in, I want you to soak in the definition of power. So my eyes are going to shift. Mm-hmm. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. I mean, just listen to that for a minute. Power. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. Power, influence, ability. I mean, all of those words in and of themselves are powerful. So when we talk about this power that we have, especially in the current climate, we have to be very intentional, very mindful of what we do with this power, especially as educators, and not just educators. Those of us in corporate America, those of us who work in nonprofit, those who are civic leaders, what we share and what we post on social media has power, because you think about it, it's just words that you see on a device, but there are people behind those words. There's you who are posting it. There's me who's reading it. And if I know you, there's this, do we say the words that we would say on social media? And if we don't, we need to fix that, because our words have power. They have the power to inspire. They have the power to crush. They have the power to ignite on either side of the fence. What are we igniting? So we have to be very intentional about our words. And particularly those of us who teach high school, especially, like, I know as educators and students, we're not following each other, but you can't tell me that kids aren't looking at what we're posting. So we have to be intentional about our words. And you might think that, oh, she's talking about all the negative posts. I'm not even just talking about that. Like right now in these moments, we're all passionate. We're all sharing our hearts. But sometimes what's in our hearts, we might be in a place of anger and frustration. So what we share may not come out how we intended to come out. So we've got to think, maybe it's not right now. See, we have the power to wait. We have the power to think. We have the power to pause. We have the power to choose. Everything that's posted, we don't have to comment on. So we have so much power just in the space, how the whole world is connecting right now, which is on social media. Now, when we step into our school buildings, our families are talking about this stuff at home. And I know there are certain lines we don't want to cross, but if kids are talking, we have to give them the power to express themselves. And when they express themselves, we have to create an environment that bleeds the power of grace, the power of compassion, the power of empathy, and the power of the true ability to listen. Like when we're talking, we shouldn't be like active listening, but we shouldn't be so focused on, I gotta get in there. You're missing what the person is saying. So when we talk about the power of listening, it segues right into, Tara and I were talking about this earlier today. Right now, the power of conversation. When we talk about the power of conversation, there's conversation and there's communication. The conversation is the dialogue. The communication is the heart. The communication is the soul. The communication is the passion. The communication is the empathy. It's the understanding. But it can also be the lack of understanding and how we bridge those gaps. It's the power of grace. We have to have grace with one another, especially in all of this, the social injustice, the racial climate, what's going on in politics. Like when we are sharing and trying to express our thoughts in the most compassionate way, sometimes I see on social media people jump and bite and tear people down because people are learning how to express themselves, talking about race, talking about anti-racism awareness, talking about equity, talking about politics connected to social injustice and racial climate. It's hard, it's difficult, and people are trying to express themselves. But when people try and they make mistakes, we've got to have grace, and that's what's missing. And so both sides of the fence are snapping at each other and snapping at each other, but we've got to remember the power of compassion. So if we have that, if we practice that, if we do that, not only for us, but as colleagues in the building, I know all the time teachers have conversations in the hall. We've got to be mindful about our opinions, our personal opinions, because we might be standing right here on this wall in the hall, but there's a door right there that's open, probably to my classroom, and there are ears in there, there are hearts in there, there are kids in there, there's children in there. So we have to be mindful of literally everything we say. But you know what? It's because we have the power to impact lives. Our words have the power to crush. Our words have the power to inspire. Our words have the power of hope. And speaking of hope, right now, sometimes when things are heavy, when there's tragedy, when there's loss of life, when there's unrest, sometimes we feel like it's not the right time to talk about joy. It's not the right time to talk about hope. But if we don't talk about the hope, we can't get out of the ugly situations. We have to be okay to smile. We have to be okay to laugh. We have to give ourselves permission. That power of permission is so hard for so many of us. Tara and I even struggled about this conversation. Was the time right to talk? But we have to not be afraid. We have to step out there. We have to have conversations. We have to go there. We have to try. We might step and get our shoes all muddy, messy, and dirty. But guess what? That's why there's a washcloth. That's why there's a washing machine. You can wash yourself off. And when we make mistakes, we can't go in a corner and retreat. We can't punch somebody in the corner either. We have to do this with grace, with love, with compassion, with hope. We have to be willing to learn. We have to know what we don't know. And if we don't know what we don't know, we need to just shut up and listen. Oh, that was harsh.
No, that was good. I'm like about to cry over here. I want to say amen. I like am feeling all the feels. And so I think our people are also, I'm reading the comments and I'm just, Traci, I had no doubt that you would have a message for us tonight and you would have some words of wisdom for us tonight to hang on to, but not only that, just to tuck into our hearts and remind us and empower us to remember our power and remember that we get to decide. We have the power of choice. You know, we get to decide, like, are we going to embrace this power that you're speaking of tonight? Or are we going to, we can choose not to, right? We have that choice. And so I just love everything about what you just said. I love the power of compassion, the power of permission. That's huge. And there's just so many pieces that I think this book is going to be dynamic, by the way. And I know I'm not supposed to be promoting a book right now, but I don't care. It's going to change lives. If you have just felt the power coming from this woman talking to us for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just think a book packed with that. It's just going to change your life, your world. And so I'm super thankful that you're here talking to us, Traci, and inspiring us and reminding teachers and educators and people out there, moms and dads and kids and students, that we do have the power. We do. We have the power to do a lot.
We do, and we have to respect that power. And you know, like when we're at home, like all of us are at home, most of us are at home right now. You know, when appropriate, are we watching the news with our family? Like a lot of times we see things on the news, think George Floyd, think Botham Jean, even last night. You know, are you cooking and just go, but then go on about your life? Or do we sit down and have conversations with our family so that we all don't walk out of our doors and get wrapped up in a vicious cycle because we haven't been rooted at home? When we're rooted at home, I talked to my son last night, my 15-year-old, he's not 14 anymore. I talked to my 15-year-old, and because he has a great group of friends, they're all great kids, but they're all from different families, different backgrounds. And so I just said, hey, when you're having those conversations, because my son has a very political mindset, he's gifted and just a different story. But I said, hey, I need you to remember the power of your words. I need you to remember your heart in conversations. I need you to remember who you are. I need you to remember that your words have power. So, Tara, you said something else that made me want to talk about one more thing. In the book, the last chapter is be you, be your authentic self. In the podcast, I say be yes, because I think it's cute, but being your authentic self. And I had to learn, I've gone through such a journey in believing in myself. And this mindset of, you know, I had all these visions. I have this big heart. I have these big dreams, but I always thought I'm just a teacher. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Or when I think I want to say something, it's been said 1,000 times about other people. So who wants to hear what I have to say? So this is a message specifically to educators, because we all have a voice. We have to be our authentic self. And when you think about being your authentic self, there is nobody like you. There's nobody that has your story. There's nobody in your shoes. Nobody can tell the story like you. So when you are your authentic self, your message has power. So we need to believe in ourselves. And if anybody has a dream, if anybody has a goal, if anybody has a passion, a wish, a desire, nothing is too big. December 19th, 2019, I took a screenshot and I showed it to Dave Burgess in my journal. I wrote, I didn't want to just write a book. My words said I wanted to be part of the DBC family. So the power of commitment, the power of belief in yourself, the power of courage, like don't hold in all of your awesomeness. It's meant to be shared. And so we can be better as educators, as human beings. Like, I want to strive to be the best person I can possibly be. And that means I'm always going to be growing. I'm always going to be pursuing how to be better, and not better as in perfecting the craft or being this expert, but better in learning, better in listening, better in helping other people, better in serving other people. When we grow, it's not about us, because we have the power to change other lives. We have the power to share. If I've been blessed, if I have success, I have the power to help other people. So what do we do with all of this that we have going on? It's not meant to stay locked up inside of you. We have to share.
Amen. I just keep wanting to say that because it is just so powerful. I mean, I'm not trying to play on words here, but Traci, that is so true. And I love that you talked about being your authentic self. I mean, that's my message. I love that message, being real. But it's so true for each of you listening, but it's also true because you have the power to encourage everyone within your realm of influence to also be their authentic self. And what a beautiful world this would be if everyone was encouraged to be real, to be their authentic self, and bring all that together to collectively. That is just like the perfect world to me. Mm-hmm. I just love that piece. And I love that you bring it back to the power, because that's true. We have the power to recognize that in ourselves, but we also almost, I feel like you're almost like charging us, like, come on, you got this. Come on, troops, get out there and encourage the learners and the people within your realm of influence to do the same, because that's what we need. That's the power that's truly going to create change. Mm-hmm. Wow. Back to you, Traci.
Okay. I didn't know if you were wrapping up, so I was just kind of waiting.
No, carry on.
I think too, we have to respect the power of silence, and we can look at that in two different ways. Last night, I wanted to say something. I didn't know what to say. My head was hurting. My heart was hurting. And I realized that wasn't really the best time to share. So I only shared just a little post that said, like, I'm saddened. And I did write down one part of that post that I do want to read. What are we teaching our children? What future are we creating for their legacy? So looking beyond our children, like, what are we doing for their future? But what are we doing for their legacy? That means their children's children's children. What are we doing? So, I said I felt like being silent last night, and I'm still kind of in a place of silence, even though I'm here on the show, because I know my words have power. No matter whose ears they fall on, my words can. If somebody's thinking about trying to take a step in the right direction, my words can either propel them on, my words can turn them off from that. So we have to know when the right time is to use our voices, but we all need to use our voices. It's just when. You got to make sure that you're okay and comfortable with yourself. And using your voice doesn't always mean in the loudest way. Mm-hmm. Using your voice can mean those intimate phone calls with people who don't know which way to go, who don't know what steps to take. I've had so many intimate conversations with people reflecting and trying to understand and the privilege that they have, and they didn't realize that they had privilege to that extent. People didn't realize the kinds of conversations that I have to have with my two amazing Black sons. So that power to communicate, like, it doesn't have to be a big voice. We make change in the smallest of ways. Who are you impacting? What are we doing? What is your purpose? We all have a purpose. we have to know that purpose, and we have to be doing something with that purpose. 2020, we've been in COVID-19, we're hearing political unrest, and in the middle of that is social injustice. Like, we all have a responsibility, and it looks different for every person, and you have to be okay with that. Don't look at what Traci is over here doing. Don't look at what Tara's doing. Do you, but you need to be doing something, and whatever that is in your spirit, whatever it is in your soul. It may be just touching the lives of the kids in your classroom and having those intimate conversations. It may just be touching the lives of parents. One thing we haven't talked about is parents. That's a big piece of all of this. Like, as educators, we have got to let parents know that we care. There's so much I want to say on that subject, but like, have we pick up the phone and just call, not to say, hey, where's the kid? Hey, where are all these assignments? Or, hey, the camera's off. If we just pick up the phone and call and say, how are you doing? How's it going? Those are the kinds of things that we can be doing. That's all. That's how we make change. That's how we do our part. It's the little things every single day. But as educators, let's push ourselves up the next notch in building the relationships with parents, because you think we're scared and confused and stressed and trying to figure all of this out. They got the kids at home, a lot of them, trying to teach and manage jobs. So we have the power to help. We have the power to help.
Yes, we do. I love that. And I love what Dave mentioned too. He just gave me some props and said he's been on so many text chains and conversations since yesterday. Likewise, that's been very much a part of my day today. In fact, by the way, Dave, I never got to my computer work today. So just FYI, I've been doing the same thing, but that's okay. That's part of the work. And I think that's what you're saying here. Do you, and do your part, be there for people. You have the power to help and inspire people. And by helping that parent, you could be helping a whole family, and they go and help their family. And the ripple effect of your power is immeasurable. It's actually immeasurable. You're not even going to be able to put a number on what you do, but what we do know is where we start and how we interact and how we empathize with those that are needing us most. It matters. And so we need to be mindful of that. One of the things I've mentioned many times in conversations today when talking to authors or talking to those who want to post something publicly, is just to read the room. Just like if you were speaking to a large crowd, I would read that room. And if they weren't feeling what I was feeling, I'm not going to continue down a topic that's not supporting the people that I'm talking to. I think that's what any experienced speaker would do. You read the room and you're like, this isn't going anywhere. Like, I need to figure out like what it is that the people need right now. And I think on social media, we need to be mindful of the room. We need to be mindful. Does your post support? Is it providing a resource? Is it providing hope and encouragement? Is it a solution-oriented post, or is it just like a vomit of stuff that's not really going to help anything? So we just need to be mindful. And I feel like we have that power. We can make that choice. If it's not, maybe now is not the time to post that. And maybe if it's in your classroom or with a parent and you want to tell about whatever, and it doesn't support the needs of the person you're talking to, be mindful of that. We have that power. Some things can just wait until later when it's more appropriate time.
The realization, the power of realization in so many aspects, it's the key to success, and it's the key to demise, if you really think about it. When you, Tara, just a minute ago said about the power we have on social media, there are a few people that I admire for this very reason. They're trying to spread their wings and take some steps, some courageous steps in communicating on social media. And sometimes people bite back, like, their heart is in the right place. I can see it. Their heart is in the right place and they're trying, but some people don't have grace in their responses and they lash back. But these people who are trying, the responses that I've seen from some people, I am so sorry. I'm learning. Please forgive me. I just took the post down. So that's like, I have so much respect for people who are trying and they mess up and they own it. And what I need people to know is it's okay. Like it's okay to mess up because that's the only way we grow and get better. And I know you're going to come into some getting your heads kind of bitten off a little bit, but don't retreat. Don't retreat. Just keep trying because we all know we can't control the actions of others. But we should never ever put out our own flame, our own spark. We shouldn't press down our own heart because of that, because all of our voices, they matter. All of our voices have a purpose. And I'm just reading my social media and I see people trying and it gives me hope. It gives me hope that people who, if it weren't for all of this, wouldn't see and realize that things are going on. So those attempts to try, that's a sign of awareness. That's a sign of, I want to be part of the change. I don't really know how yet, but I want to, and they're trying. So it's my job. If I need to message somebody on the side, like, and that's what we should do. If we're truly using that power of compassion, it's that side message to say, you know, that can kind of rub people the wrong way. And let me tell you why. And it's that understanding piece, the very next, and I've had those conversations before, especially this summer. And the person's like, I didn't realize that. Thank you so much. So if we all come to the table with that spirit of helping each other, I'm not an expert and I never claim to be. I don't have a degree in this, that, or the other. I'm just in the skin I'm in, you know? But I have the spirit of wanting to help others. I want people to be my allies. I want people to go on this journey with me. I want people to use their voices. And I want people to discover in themselves what so many others have been dealing with. And that's how we start coming together, because now the conversation is different. Now the people are starting to seek to understand on their own. And then we come together and ask questions and learn from each other. That's the power of change. And that's what we need now more than ever. But we have to be in it together.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. And I think as the recipient of some of those sidebar conversations, so say I'm the one trying and I get a sidebar conversation, I would like to just address the crowd tonight and just say, be humble in receiving that, because we all start every journey that we go on, we start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. I mean, I always compare everything to a fitness journey because it's something I can relate to, but you have to start somewhere, and you have to start moving in the right directions, learning the skills to be able to make these lifts. You can't just jump in and start lifting the big heavy weights. Traci's been doing this work for a long time. We're not going to jump in and be able to do like she is. We're not going to be at that level. So we have to be okay with getting some coaching along the way. That, hey, let's strengthen this muscle a little bit so we can make that lift successfully without getting injured and hurt, without injuring and hurting the people around us. And I think it just parallels beautifully in my mind. I don't know if you guys are getting it, but we have to be okay with that coaching. I think we need to understand that this is for me. This is to make me better. This is to help me to use that power to influence others in the right direction. And later you will be, maybe you'll be the one sending those little side conversations to someone else and being able to pass that on as you learn and move forward. But it's all about action. We have the power to act. We have the power to do something. And that's what I feel like Traci is just pouring her heart out to us tonight. And when she shared this and this is way better than our little conversation earlier.
Yeah, right.
We just briefly were like, hey, let's go on the show. And she said, this is kind of what I want to talk about. I'm like, that's perfect. That's what we need. That's what we need to hear. And that's what the world needs to hear. So I'm just so grateful you're here, Traci. I'm so grateful that you shared so much of your beautiful wisdom. I think the people here are just so excited that they joined in tonight and started to feel encouraged, as we're wrapping up the show. If there's more things you want to say or ask Traci, be sure and drop them over in the comments. Remember, we do leave the show open till tomorrow. Well, it's open forever, so everybody can watch it at any time. But to have your comments listed in the opportunity to get a book that maybe you just need some time to read. Maybe that's something that you need. The power of self-care. You will have that opportunity to choose one of our books and be able to read. Traci's unfortunately is not here yet, but it will be soon. So
It's coming.
Yeah, it's wide open. It's going to be amazing coming out of the mid to late fall 2021. So keep your eyes open for that. But for now, we're just keep having her on the show to encourage us and follow her on all the social media. So Traci, I know that they are dying to know where to find you. Where can they follow your work? You're everywhere, honestly, right now. But do share your social media outlets, your website. And as she's sharing, if you have any questions, please do, or you have any comments for Traci, drop those over in the comment section. I'll make sure that we put them up on the screen.
Well, my kiddo. Thank you, first of all, for having me. This was amazing. Thank you, baby. Brought me some water. It was amazing to be able to have real conversation. So it was an honor. One place I would love to connect is my podcast. It's Intelligogy, and think intelligence and pedagogy. So Intelligogy. So INTELLIGOGY. It's my heart. It's where I continue to have these kinds of conversations. I'm really active on Twitter, Traci Browder, and Intelligogy also has a Twitter handle. So does Grit Crew EDU. My partner, Don Harris, and I do a lot of anti-racism and equity work together. That's really where I'm most active. I do have an Instagram account, Traci Browder, also Intelligogy, and the same with Facebook, Facebook Traci Browder. And then my website is tracibrowder.com. And yeah.
Well, we are just thrilled to have you as a part of our DBC Inc. family. I know the first time I met Traci on Google Hangout, actually. We've never met face-to-face, but when we do, you better prepare for a big hug.
That's right.
It's going down. COVID or no COVID? No, just kidding. So I don't infect you. But it was just fast friends. Like, I knew this woman was meant to be in my life. And
Likewise.
I feel like anybody listening and reading her work, reading her post, listening to her podcast, you can't help but be encouraged when you're around Traci or you're part of her work. So please do connect. And if you have any questions for us, drop them over in the comments. We'll be looking over those over the next couple of days. So be sure and share over there. And, go forward. Please know that you have a lot of power. You have, and the ripple effect of your impact is immeasurable. So go, be mindful, be intentional, and do what we were put on this earth to do, because I think that's what Traci is trying to encourage us to do tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for joining DBC Inc. Live. We will have this show every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. So join us. It's usually about 30 minutes. We try not to take up too much of your night, but if you're putting babies to sleep, we understand that too. We are a family first company. So please do put your babies to sleep, come back and watch it, and you can still join in the comments, and we'll be answering those the following morning. So we do have some new subscribers to your podcast.
Thank you guys.
And thank you so much for inspiring us tonight. Just as Beth said right here, Traci, we are just so grateful to have you influence us and to be a part of this wonderful DBC Inc. extended family that we have here tonight. So
thank you. And a really, really big shout out real quick to Beth, Shelley, and Dawn for all the work we've done together on this journey of anti-racism awareness and equity and just and you've been supporting, Dave's been supporting. So you guys get big shout outs. Big shout outs.
If you guys want to follow Dawn and Traci, lead lab on Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's an incredible message. Only 30 minutes too. Crazy, amazing chat and so much to take out of that. There's always resources that are shared. It's just an incredible place to go and a safe place to go and to share. So Traci and Dawn lead that. Both of them are writing books for us that'll come out in 2021. You want to keep a lookout for Dawn Harris, Traci Browder. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the show. We'll be back, DBC Inc. live next Thursday. And we are looking forward to seeing you all unleash the power that is within you. So have a good one, everyone. Bye, Traci. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everyone.